Hello, my little darlings. I'm Judy Darling, your favorite witch on the rise. I am sitting here today with one of my favorite people, probably in the whole wide world. She's a fairy godmother to Minnie. She is a stylist to some of the best people in the world. And she's here to kind of bring fashion magic to you at home. Let's meet her. This is Nancy the Girl.
Hi.
How are you, beautiful?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing really wonderfully because I'm in one of my favorite spaces to be in.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Tell us where we are right now, Nancy.
Right now we are in my loft, which is also my home, which is also my showroom for all of my vintage treasures.
I mean, I was a big kid who loved playing dress up, and I don't think that you can stress enough the feeling upon arriving for the first time when you come into the shop and you see this space and it's literally a kid's dream. You know, like when you went to the big costume box and you got to play and wear whatever you want and gender didn't matter. That's what this is on a much bigger, curated scale.
It is definitely, the entire business is totally inspired by my love of dress up, and it's just the costume box becoming too full and becoming racks.
So you were a kid that played, obviously, make-believe growing up?
Non-stop dress up was no matter what the game was, it involved costumes.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like something that we've talked about just in our friendship is that idea of as a child, you get to say, who do I want to be today? Mm-hmm. And you literally can be anything. And I feel like the older we get, we kind of can lose that.
Absolutely. I think that, like, as we get in, especially as we get to the point where, as adults, we're told that we have to fit into these boxes and these are appropriate. Or even as kids, like, this is what's appropriate and this isn't. And so you start to, like, kind of just have a style that's defined by practicality and appropriateness, but you never really check in to see who it is that you want to be or how you want to dress despite what people would think.
Right. So I would love for everyone in the world to find out kind of how you came to be Nancy the Girl. How did that happen?
So Nancy the Girl became a nickname because I would spend a lot of time at a place called Destiny, which is a radical fairy sanctuary in Vermont.
Amazing.
And one of the things that I've always done is I've brought any vintage that I feel is a good offering to the camp and the goddess, thrifting goddess.
Yes.
And so I'll bring all of the stuff every summer, and people, when I would get to camp, it'd be like, Nancy's here, and which Nancy, because it's a lot of gay men.
Sure.
And I'd be like, no, Nancy the Girl. And that's
Nancy the Girl.
Nancy the Girl became my nickname through that. But I think that, like, when I started, so I've always collected vintage, and then I got to a point where it's like, well, I should start a store, and so
almost out of necessity.
I could, like, what are you saying? Because you can't save things forever. And that's like what I tell people when I buy stuff. So it's
totally.
I have to listen to that myself, and it gives me the opportunity to dress. Because I love expressing myself through fashion, but, like, my deeper passion is helping others express themselves and helping others kind of tap into that confidence and empowerment so that they feel that they can dress however they want. And
which is, I feel like, the magical thing about this space that you've kind of curated is it's not only vintage clothes, which have a kind of a mysticism in themselves because they have a story, they have a past, but you have created an environment that is totally safe for anybody, and it's kind of like an invitation. You've created, like, a place where you're inviting people to discover kind of who they want to be.
I think that thank you. I never felt comfortable shopping when I was growing up because I, like, literally didn't fit into the clothing at the Gap, and I always felt so self-conscious that I, like, was going to end up wearing something that looked like it belonged, like, just frumpy, and just also feeling completely left out as fashion because I was a size 14 And so I started thrifting because there were more options, and I felt like I had more control over what I was wearing, not what like the fashion industry was saying. Like, this is plus size.
Right. This is for you.
This is your style. You have to wear tunics and leggings.
It's almost like a uniform.
Yeah.
I feel like I also growing up as a very, very scrawny, skinny boy, I like finding clothes that fit. Like, I was always swimming in things. They're not bright colors. We were just talking about that. There's no bright colors for boys growing up, or like boy genders. It's just not. Fuck gender, and not in a cool way. Like, get rid of it. Can we just get rid of it? I mean, here it's kind of like no gender. Anything goes.
I would say that, like, there's no gender. Definitely the collection edges on the femme side.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I'm Nancy.
Oh, are these for women? Is this for women?
I mean, it's for whoever wants to wear them, but I would say this is definitely not the place to come to get
A plaid shirt.
Yeah, we're not gonna have lumberjack clothes. Maybe. I'm not gonna box us in like that.
It's brilliant of you. You shouldn't,
Like,
because
no.
it's everything here. It's very prismatic.
We really, if it fits into the racks color code wise, it's all right.
I mean, taste the rainbow, be the rainbow, baby.
But anyway, I wanted to, because I felt so unsafe and I felt so judged by salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how many other people also feel so judged by salespeople. And if it's not that you feel like they're judging you on your size, it's your gender, or it's your race,
right.
And there's a lot of people who just don't feel comfortable going into a store and trying on things that maybe they'll fit, maybe they won't, but you just want to give it a whirl. And so I really wanted to create almost like a living room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is actually.
It is literally your living room. You and your amazing partner who puts up with just like doll's house all the time.
This allows me to have my own doll's house. Dress up parties constantly. Constant.
Non-stop. But in addition to this being just a beautifully curated vintage collection, you also are very creative. I mean, you have a theater background.
I have a theater background. I've always loved making costumes, but
right.
not in a technical sewing way, more in a which is also the Radical Fairies influence on me 100%, is the here are the crafts that we have at our disposal.
But it goes back to that costume box that you love so much. It's the what can we make with what we have. Mm-hmm. This, we have the world at our fingertips.
Where it's your imagination is a huge component of it.
Right.
So my two favorite things are costume crafting and thrifting.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that if you're doing DIY costumes, it's the perfect combo, because you can find a dress at a thrift store that you actually just you can find a dress here at Nancy the Girl where that's curated from a thrift store.
Right.
That it might be a perfect base for wherever your imagination wants to take you. And I feel that way about shoes and hats, and I think vintage hats, we don't wear them a lot. They can become great headpieces.
Well, this is the thing that is crazy, is you talk about hats and repurposing, having things be a base. What I'm wearing today is a Nancy the Girl creation and kind of a styled outfit. I mean, this jacket that I have on is something that you found. It was like a pantsuit.
It was the day before I went to Mardi Gras this year, and I needed a purple party outfit. Mm-hmm. And I think you were coming over, and I just have to go out thrifting for a purple party outfit. I'm putting it out there. I think it will come. And literally, walk into a store, and on the staff picks rack, right front and center, was this jacket. And I knew I'd had this marching band cape
right
behind you here.
This gorgeous cape,
which is it's a marching band cape from 1933.
Amazing.
A little moth-eaten, but we love that.
We love it.
If clothing isn't perfect, then it's okay to wear it.
Yeah, look at the little heart. My favorite little 33.7, the little band number on the bottom. So cute. So you basically found this.
It has the name in it, I think.
Does it have the kid?
It belonged to Shelton.
This is Shelton's cape.
Shelton's cape from 6/20/1935.
Oh my God, Adore Delano, where are these stories? I mean, okay, so you found this piece. It had like a skirt and like pants or something.
It had a skirt.
Because it didn't have a witch hat.
It did not have because we had just done a shoot.
We did a shoot.
And you had made the leopard witch hat, and you had gotten them at Michael's, I think.
I had these little paper witch hats
Like
from
paper mache.
yes from the art store, and so we were looking at her purple outfit, and I was like, why don't you make her a witch? And I was like, you have extra fabric. I was like, cover a hat. But like you tell Nancy to make a witch hat, and she doesn't just make a witch hat. She makes the witch hat. Like this is amazing, and this is all like repurposing and using things that you had in stock or that you found.
I wish that there were more trim thrift stores, and that maybe is something I can start at some
Yeah,
point.
repurpose trim.
This amount of fringe is really not useful for anything except
A witch hat.
a witch
this
hat.
has
Yeah. So
a lampshade, perhaps.
and then it's also like that clutter is out of the drawer. And
Right.
It looks fabulous now.
Right. I mean, it's quite brilliant. I mean, I feel like we're going to show it in a little B-roll moment, but you made a broom to match out of fabric?
The broom was the best, and actually Sutton helped me with covering the broom, but Judy and I were sitting here and we were like, what could I use as a broom, but that I would need, that I can pack? And so I was like, wait, I think I have some detachable broom handles in the cleaning closet. And so I think it was the Swiffer.
Yep. It was a
wasn't
Swiffer.
the Swiffer. It was the more expensive version of this. It was the better Swiffer, but that had the prettier broom handle. So
Sure.
that broom handle, we covered it in ribbon, and because it can break in 3 places,
So really packable.
really packable, like a tent pole, but decorated
Genius.
like a broom
Genius.
with a random amount of feather trim left
The
over.
perfect amount of feather trim. But that's the thing, is like you've curated this real life, like a go inside costume box. Like this is like you go inside the dollhouse, so to speak, and then you have an idea or you have a need for a look, and then you're able to find like a base piece or something that works as is. Or if you do need to embellish, you have this craft room that has literally all of these things.
It's one of the most, so for the past 2 years that I've been in New York, the other thing I've been doing is working for Sasha and because of all of the crafts I've done for her, I do have like a weird collection of materials and but also techniques that I've learned in figuring out how to make like a mouse head.
I mean, I've said it all the time that I feel like the new vaudeville is drag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the work that you do is drag in a sense, but it also transcends drag.
I think that drag is pushing the culture into a feeling more comfortable with drag becoming more mainstream. I feel like expressing yourself and being more your own person and having more control over your image, not an image that's dictated as who you have to be or what a woman looks like.
But it's like what you talk about, the one that comes from inside.
Yeah.
So like the essence that's inside.
And and the idea that can change and it doesn't have to be the same. Like some days, I definitely want to go with 50s bombshell. Like that's who I want people to see me as.
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm feeling. And then other days I'm I really am feeling my Stevie Nicks fantasy, like today.
Yes, God. Yes, God.
And that's probably one of my go-tos.
Is a Stevie, yeah.
The Stevie,
of course.
I can slide right into that one. But that's, but then there's also days where I don't want to be seen at all. And those are the days that I'm gonna wear black leggings and a hoodie.
Right.
And just get shit done.
Yeah.
And not, but it's also, if you're not feeling yourself, I think that clothing's also a great way to trick your brain into thinking you're having a better day. Because if you put together an amazing outfit, or even just a sort of amazing outfit, any effort you put into it, people are going to see and people will respond to that. And I think that's kind of like daily drag, or is that you might not be performing on a stage, but you...
Well, it's kind of sometimes it's often generational. You know, my, is that Is that the person texting you that they're here?
Oh, maybe. Let's see if that is that.
Hi Nancy, it's Natasha. I'm coming now instead of my boyfriend. I'll be there in about 15 minutes. I have an IKEA bag.
Great. Perfect.
So she'll buzz up.
Great. What was I going to say? So this idea, I had a really good thought that I was going to go with this. We talked a little bit about this idea of fashion magic. That's something that you and I have discussed a lot. You know, like I'm obviously a witch. You're a witch with clothing, and you do magic with clothing, which I think is fascinating and so interesting. Can you elaborate a little bit of what that means to you?
Yes. So I think I use the term fashion witch for lack of a better term.
Right.
Because I've realized that I like a lot of times when I'm thrifting, and I refer to like the thrifting goddess all the time, but I feel like it's that if I put it out to the universe what I'm looking for, I get guided to it, and part of how I'm guided to it is that I like literally like feel like the clothes on the racks are speaking to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, I'm special, take me home, or like, I had a super awesome life, like you want to feel me. And or it's like it'll say like a name, like
Wow,
like,
really?
With Max Pleasure, there's a suit that literally I swear every time I walked by it I heard like Max Pleasure, and
How
they came
wild.
up one day to get something else, and it was like, this is gonna sound crazy, but can you just try this suit on for me? Because I swear it keeps whispering your name to me, and it was like a perfect.
So you're saying
perfect
literally
fit.
some of the things that you find will tell you, I'm for Judy, or like you.
100%.
Oh my gosh,
100%.
that's wild.
And like sometimes it will be like when I have the pop-ups, somebody will come in, and it'll be like, oh my God, this is the person that was waiting. Like, your dress is here already.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you are.
Yeah.
Like, but it will.
So you're like you're like the what's the word I'm looking for?
I feel like the channel.
The conduit.
That's the word.
I know. I was like, it's gonna come to me. You're the conduit. You're the person that's just I'm helping you find the person that lost you or needed to find you on this.
Or like the vibes you need to like move when I. Like where I really started like my like I guess kind of when I tapped into the power that clothing can have in affecting how you live is when I was getting divorced, and I'd been married for 8 years. I'd gotten married very young, and I'd gotten very much into like kind of this housewifey box.
Yeah.
But I was also, while I wasn't being a housewife, or when I wasn't being a housewife, I was working at a vintage store in Vermont, and spent 7 years like really with that as my refuge. But I would kind of I realized working there that when everybody going into a dressing room has insecurities and things that you don't see as like, I would never be like, oh my God, that person's upper arms are so offensive, but everybody will look in the mirror and be like, oh my God, I can't, like, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry you have to see my upper arms.
Apologizing for
Like,
existing.
I'm sorry that I have thighs. And so I found that I really had a skill for talking people out of those places and seeing themselves in different ways. But we were talking about this earlier. You have a hard time doing that for yourself.
Yes.
And that's like when I was getting divorced, I realized that I like hadn't checked in with myself about who I was and who I was presenting, and who like it was more who I thought I should be. I can't remember where I was going with all of this. The question we were on.
God, what were we on at this point? We were on.
We were still on magic.
Fashion magic, just the idea of like clothes finding each other.
Yes, okay.
So the idea of changing, because clothing wants certain people sometimes, or helps people become.
I've come back. So
Yeah.
that the first year after I got divorced, I went down to Mardi Gras, which is definitely like my high religious holiday of the year at this point, based on the costumes. But I wore my wedding dress because I loved my wedding dress, and it was a custom-made dress. I'd been 22 when I got married, so it was like princess everything. Still is, but it was supposed to be Grace Kelly at the Moulin Rouge.
Wow.
And then it had like a Marie Antoinette like thing to wear down the aisle. It was stunning, but it still is. But it became my masquerade gown that following year because I was like, I might be getting divorced, but I need this wedding dress.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can rechristen clothing.
Yes.
And so now that dress is my masquerade gown. I also dyed the whole back of it pink with the wig that I didn't know you had to set after spraying it.
Happy accidents.
Happy accidents.
Happy
I have to figure out how to
accidents.
dye the rest of it pink, but that's part of the process too, is exploring.
Yeah.
But after that, like, and I guess like getting divorced made it feel like I had like a second chance at like, just like, okay, now I'm just living life for me.
Yeah.
My 20s are over, my marriage is over. 30s is like, I don't give a fuck what people think, and I'm gonna dress however I want, and people love it. And I like want people to kind of find that like where you stop thinking about what other people think of you.
Yeah.
And you start dressing for yourself first, and it's not about being sexy for somebody or conservative for somebody, or it's yeah.
It's an action of self-care. You've often talked about clothes as a practice of self-care. It's like you don't get dressed in a gorgeous outfit because of someone else to impress. You're doing it because you're celebrating yourself, right? I mean, drag is a whole other cauldron of frogs, and the idea of like dressing up that cake is something else. But when it comes to like people in their everyday life, it's really important to paint with all the colors.
Because I think it's also like no matter what, I think it's easy to be like, well, Nancy, you can dress up every day because you're living in a dress-up box. But like, what about, in like my sister, who's my favorite person. Sorry for all the other people who are my favorite people for saying that.
It's all right. You can have a lot of favorite people.
But Catherine's a single mom, and I think that she sometimes, I think it's important even in like those situations where you're like, this is how all the other moms are dressing, so I have to fit in and dress like everybody else. And I'm using her as an example, but it happens
all over.
These,
of course.
This is how I dress for
Compare
this.
and despair, having to fit in.
And I think that if we even think of like those situations as like, well, I'm gonna do my mom drop-off drag, and like you're like, I'm dressing like this for, or this
purpose.
is like my, like I refer to it as like my waspy drag when I'm going to spend time with my waspy family in the summer, and I'm like Lily Pulitzer, and then instead of feeling like I'm conforming, it's like this is a choice I'm making, and this is a character I'm putting on.
Right. Well, there's a Judy Darling quote. I'm 1,000 different people, and everyone is real.
100%.
Right?
Yes,
and it's so true.
Exactly
that's what I feel like you help cultivate from people, that it's okay to have an abstract sense of style that evolves with you as you evolve.
And I like really want people to feel like, I guess my biggest goal is that people come in and feel free to try on whatever they want, even if it's not like, oh, that's trending right now, or that looks so much like what she wore at the da-da-da. Like, just to trust yourself and be your own stylist and figure out what makes you feel the best, because then people are going to see your confidence. They're not going to see what you're wearing or...
Right.
And, yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So with this beautiful space, obviously you have pop-up shops, so people can come when they come to a pop-up shop. What can they kind of expect? It's obviously much different than shopping in a store.
I feel like it's as close as you could get to like going over to your friend's house and trying on clothes. Like it's set up like we have a dressing room, but a lot of people just change like to your comfort level. If you want to stretch in the middle of the room, you can.
Right.
We usually have someplace set up for some content creation.
Of course.
What's fun? More fun than dress up than pictures.
I don't like content at all. What do you mean?
And then just like I have a really great group of friends, you being one of them. That,
Oh.
are like, I feel like there's always like some sort of cast of characters here
Sure.
to help encourage.
Well,
And
the thing that you always talk about your pop-up shops or just shopping in this kind of environment, it's different from a store experience because it's communal.
yeah,
Right? There's this idea of community supporting each other, cheering everyone on as they try on amazing looks or great
And I think
finds.
that especially with vintage, that a lot of vintage shops are set up where it's like these are all precious objects, and they are, and for me the value isn't. I don't do a lot of designer pieces or because I want these clothes to be worn, and so I think that there's also some people expect a pretentious quality if
Yeah.
you're going to a vintage store,
Sure.
and I think that it's a dress-up box. It's not a vintage
Right. People
store.
don't understand how accessible it is.
It-
Not only at price point, but just how freeing it is in this space.
And I can't think of another place where you can try on stuff and come out and like have the whole room and like
yeah.
it's
Literally, it's
like,
such a party.
and you really get to kind of because I also always just encourage people to try on whatever they want. I'm like, I'm not going to pressure you to buy because I'm not that type of businesswoman.
Right.
But I do encourage people to like try it on, dance around, see how it feels, see how it looks in a picture, because you'll know if your vibe's attaching to it. And I think that really every sale I have, it's people have this like, oh my god, I need
This
I've
is
been
it.
waiting to try oh my, I can't believe you have this, and I feel like it's just just feeling safe enough to take the risk of trying something on without mainstream society
Yeah.
judging you.
Yeah. So how can the kids, the children, the fairies, the witches, the drag queens, all of the above, the goddesses, how can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Nancy the Girl. Or it's Nancy _the_girl. Or on Facebook. And if you want to come and see me in person and I'm not having a pop-up, you can DM me.
Oh, fabulous.
Really I'm usually available within 24 hours for shopping. For
Yeah,
the
of
most
course.
Part.
You also have an amazing online store.
I do have an amazing online store, Judy.
So, right?
You can also find me online at nancythegirl.com, which is the other thing I do.
It's not only physical, it's virtual. So you, no matter where you are, can be a part of this amazing experience.
And I'll do virtual shopping appointments too.
Yeah.
If you're on the website and you think I like this but I don't know, shoot me a message because I'll find a friend who's your size to try it on.
Yes.
I'll take measurements if you need more measurements. Show you what it looks like outside. I'm here to make you feel good, so let me.
Do let her, because let me tell you, I feel good when she makes me feel
It
good.
makes me feel good. When
See,
I make you
it's
feel good.
a great relationship,
Good.
and then we're all feeling good and looking gorgeous. I'm so excited for things to come. I mean, just in the short time that I've been privileged to know you, I feel so much joy and an honor to be a part of your life and what you do for people. And I expect so much wonderful things to come for you this summer and beyond.
Well, back at you.
Thank you. If you want to follow me, I'm the Judy Darling on Instagram. You can also go to thejudydarling.com and check me out at Enchantments. I'm there once a month doing tarot readings, and I believe we're going to do some tarot here at a pop-up in the near future. So stay on the lookout out of our Insta.
The cards will tell you what to try on.
Ooh, it's going to be so fun taking fashion magic to the next level. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Bye, y'all.